What's going on? All thanks for tuning in once again. Let's talk Jake Paul versus Tyson, Mike Tyson. Okay, a few people's asked me, hey, what do you think of it? A lot of people have been talking about it, so that's what this video is about. Just leaving my opinion on it, what I think of the fight, and hope to hear from you. Leave it in the comment section for sure. And yeah, let's get straight into it. So, I mean, we can't ignore the fact that, Mike Tyson was one of the greatest punchers, youngest heavyweight champion of all time. Everyone knows who Tyson is. Jake Paul, a guy that's come from a social media platform and, is making a lot of noise. Hasn't really fought much professional fights. Half of his resume is against fighters that are on their debut, or even guys that aren't even fighters. So comparing resumes is a joke to start with. Jake Paul, one of the only fights that he fought against a legit boxer, which was an active boxer, was Tommy Fury. And we all saw what happened there. Fury was outboxing the guy. In my opinion, I thought that he won comfortably. It was a split decision win, but I thought that Fury done enough to get a unanimous decision. Obviously there was a knockdown, I believe. It looked more like a slip. It wasn't really a punch that hurt Fury. So these fights are a lot different than what we're used to. Mike Tyson, obviously he's 57, and the rules are altered. Tyson's last time in the ring, I think, was against Jones in 3 years ago or something like that. Was quite a fair bit away. He beat Jones. I think it was a draw. Correct me if I'm wrong, just going off memory here. And there was a lot of holding in that fight, which Paul was doing against Fury. But I think in Jones's case, he was holding Tyson because he was hurt. Tyson, and mind you, those were 12-ounce gloves. Think Mike Tyson in his prime, 8-ounce gloves. It's a big difference. So the ounce gloves is going to be a big game changer here. I believe Jake Paul is fighting with 10 ounces. So, I mean, if Tyson and Paul fight with 10-ounce gloves, I think that Tyson will knock him out. I really do. I mean, it's 8 rounds. It's not a full fight. It's not a 12-rounder. Obviously Tyson's going to get a lot more tired than Paul. Paul's got the youth on his side, but Tyson, surprisingly, he looked good against Jones, and those were 2-round fights. 2-minute rounds. I'm not sure if they're going to do the same in this one. I hope that they do push it out to 3. But Tyson wasn't really breathing too heavy. Jones, you look at him after the fight, it seems like he's out of breath. It may be the impact of the shots. Tyson was hitting him hard to the body. With the heavyweights, usually, they lose speed. Power's the last to go, so Tyson's always going to have the power. But, surprisingly, he has the speed as well. You see him today at 57, trading in small spurts, throwing at fast pace, moving at fast pace. For 57-year-olds, really impressive. And 8 rounds, like I say, it's not like he has to pace himself for a 12-rounder. Paul's a guy that relies on his power. He's got a good straight right hand. But against a mover like Tyson, and a guy that can punch hard with speed, I just don't think that Paul can knock him out. You can't really rely on a one-punch power. I understand that, Tyson's taken some big hits from heavyweights. Paul, I believe he fought at cruiser in an 8-round fight. So, I mean, it's a big difference, in terms of just what these guys bring to the table. Tyson is one of the greatest heavyweights, out there in terms of history. One of the greatest heavyweights, the youngest ever. Definitely looked unstoppable, before he went to prison. Before Cuss passed away, he looked unstoppable when he was in his prime. People are going to question, well, when he fought elite fighters and, he didn't really beat Holyfield and this, that and the other. But, I believe that, the time in prison and from the passing of his trainer, I believe that made a big difference in his life. I don't think that he was as disciplined that he was when he was with Cuss. And, we all know that he was a bit crazy, when he was younger. He may still be crazy now, but he does seem like he's a lot more humble. Just a great ambassador for the sport. Jake Paul, in other words, on the other side of the coin, he's been calling out Canelo, been saying, hey, after Tyson, let's line up the tour fight. He's making a lot of noise, But that's one fight that, that shouldn't happen, is Paul against Tua, because Tua's, I believe, in his early 50s, Tyson in his late 50s, and let's not forget, Archie Moore, I believe, one of the oldest heavyweights, he went to 49, Foreman 45, oldest heavyweight champion, so I mean, and Tua's a guy that's been keeping in shape, with Tyson, it seems like he's in great shape. Like I said, I'm very surprised with his speed and his physical condition. But, he still is 57. Although he is Mike Tyson, you could say, well, he's not just 57, he's Mike Tyson. Age is age. Father Time is undefeated. We all know that. So, I mean, there is a chance that Jake Paul's youth may get him over the line. But I just don't think that he can survive a Mike Tyson onslaught with 10-ounce gloves. 12-ounce gloves maybe, but 10-ounce gloves, I don't think that he can survive that. Go watch back the Roy Jones fight. That's probably the most recent fight that you can watch with Tyson in terms of trying to see where he's at. And look at the interview after the fight, with Jones. I mean, only Roy Jones will know how hurt he really was. We can only just speculate. But, I mean, we could all hear those punches. Tyson was fighting a great fight, keeping low and, just impressive for his age. So, I mean, I'm not a big fan of these fights, with the Paul brothers and, these MMA fighters and all that, coming into the sport and guys on debut, making main event pay-per-view buys and all this stuff, KSI, and I'm not a fan of all that shenanigans, you could call it, in boxing. But at the end of the day, I hope that Mike Tyson means what he says about, just trying to get this guy out of the sport, because it'll be good to see him knock out Paul. It'll be good to see him knock out Paul. I think that, these Paul brothers are making boxing too much into WWE. It's becoming too much of a clown show. And it's really, in my opinion, it's really disrespecting the sport in terms of them getting these pay-per-view fights, and then guys that have been fighting, most of their life, not getting that same opportunity. I understand David Benavidez, I believe he's only had 2 pay-per-view fights. that's just an example. Jake Paul and Logan Paul, these guys coming up, 9 fights, they've already had more than that, so as well as Ngannou, 2 fights, 2 pay-per-views, so I mean, it's so I hope that it does come to an end, these altered rules and all these things that are taking place at the moment. Let's hope that Mike Tyson knocks out Paul. That's definitely my pick. I think that he does have what it takes, but it just depends on his conditioning. I know he looks like he's in great shape, but understand he was, out of the ring for 3 years. He is 57 years old, okay? And we know how Holyfield looked when he fought his fight. I believe he was close to that age as well, So age is definitely a factor in this fight. Jake Paul has a lot of youth on his side, but Tyson's a great mover. Let's hope that he does land something big. I think that Tyson can go 8 rounds for sure, but it's just a matter of can he keep that same pace, and so I'm hoping for 3-minute rounds. I'm hoping for 10-ounce gloves at least. I don't think they'll go to 8-ounce, 10-ounce at least. And if those rules come into play, I'm choosing Tyson by knockout. I think he will manage to do what he did against Jones, which is stay low, stay away from the jab, come at different angles and catch Paul. Slow him down to the body, finish him off to the head. So that's my take on it. Jake Paul, I don't think he will get that punch that he's looking for, which is the straight right against a guy like Tyson. Leave your take on it anyway. Thanks for tuning in. Just my opinion on the fight. Look forward to the comments and have a good day. Peace.